Okay, I'm gonna be lazy and just do this. Sorry, peanut went down the wrong tube. Anyway, I put all the clips for the Vaush cringe stream that he had with this Mel, who I guess he was arguing with on Twitter. I don't go on Twitter anymore. So I'm gonna put up the clips. Now I'm sure somebody is going to see this. Some Vaush fan would say, you took him out of context, or Vaush is going to explain how Mel was actually abusive. What's going on, American Dissident? What's going on, Poppy Chulo? What's going on, Red Dodonia? This is just going to be a shorty, but, okay, hold on. I forgot I was going to go live. Okay, y'all want me to play all the Vaush clips with, I'm going to go ahead and play all the Vaush clips and on this channel, but I'm going to put the link to the videos if you want to watch them individually. So we're going to go through this. Why not? I got to plug in a mic, so give me just a moment. Slava. Yep. Okay. So give me a moment there. Let me plug this in here. I don't know how much of a pain this is going to be, so give me just a moment, everybody. Okay. So I had 6 clips that I uploaded on the Uncle Thomas 2 channel. They're rough. Oh man. What I was going to say is Vaush uploaded the whole thing just now. But apparently he said that she was actually abusive, which is something I don't get. But I'm going to go ahead and just play all the clips with a minimal amount of commentary, and I'm just going to let y'all decide. But the thing is, he is really trying to gaslight folks, I think, right now. He's just trying to say, oh, well. Okay, let's go ahead and get into it. But I will put the link in the description, link in a pinned comment for this. So we're going to go through these clips here one by one. And there were a couple I left out because I was like, holy shit, this is too many. But let's go ahead and hit it. Sorry. Oh, sorry. Oh, okay. Sorry. It's a good thing I stopped there. Okay. Sorry about that. Derp, 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 derp. Okay. Sorry about that. Derp, 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 derp. Okay. There we go. Let's go ahead and do that. Do that. Whew. Okay. I saved myself some effort. Okay. Whew. Sorry about that, y'all. Okay. Let's go ahead and do this. We're going to go big screen on this. There we go. That way it's going to be clear. So we'll go ahead and start that over. Here we go.
So you mentioned China. I don't want to get in the weeds about China. The reason why I mentioned China is, are you seeing this like China, the United States, and like the rest of the world? Is that like how you see like global trade kind of boiling down to, like, you know, we have like
and China, the three great capitalist evils in the global trade market. Yeah, the rest of the world doesn't even come close.
So, are you trying to say that it's better for like the EU, the United States, and the PRC to just completely unilaterally polar?
Oh my god! Like, I'm sorry for the silence. I'm letting y'all let this marinate in a bit. Okay, go ahead.
Or world just kind of ease, sort of like give, like, are we allowing? Okay,
they need to be made weaker.
You know what? Okay, hold on. Let me pause this next one here.
Oh, there was also
the reason I say that. I'm going to use that clip for how the U.S., the EU, and China be made weaker. And I didn't feel like using the context. I don't care. You can go ahead and watch the whole thing on Vaush's channel if you want to. But the thing is, he was in a debate with a libertarian today. This guy, Larry Sharp. And I'm going to find that one tomorrow. See, the thing is that how it works is I'm too much of a boomer. So once, at least in my area, you wait until noon, and that's when the VOD is fully downloadable. And usually I wait till noon, get it downloaded, and I have my timestamps. I get the timestamps, and I kind of roughly put it in there, and I say, okay, this is about when it was. All right. So I just look at my Word document, and I find these clips, and that's how I do it. But it's not that fucking complicated. But he's talking with a libertarian, and he said we need a strong state. Even though he said, wait a minute, aren't you a libertarian of some sort? He's like, yeah, but I want to but right now I want a strong state. I was like, oh my goodness. But yeah, go ahead.
I can't remember the guy in South Korea in the 1970s. Like we've helped put these people in. To my knowledge and to everything that I've read, letting these countries in Africa default any of these loans. They've actually ended up saving Africa $10 billion as opposed to, the European Union.
Oh man, I didn't even notice the eye roll on that. Go ahead.
Like indebted these countries to over 100 million.
Well, yeah, it makes them allegiant to China. That's the long term.
I don't think they're allegiant. I think they're just accept a more feasible option to industrialize than the IMF
Why do
and
you
the
think
World
China
Bank
would bother investing in these countries?
for trade. Because they can't use routes because the United States has blocked them in.
Yeah,
it's a lot harder.
I don't think there's any soft power being exerted in the Belt Initiative.
I mean, there might be, but it's
if America did the Belt and Road Initiative, you would immediately call it out for what it is. And America has invested significantly in relations. For God's sake, the Marshall.
The difference.
He goes back to the Marshall Plan. That's what his go-to is. He goes back to the Marshall Plan, bruh. This guy is ridiculous. Look at the Marshall Plan. A plan where you bomb, half of Europe just bomb all of Western Europe into submission. But yeah, I mean, come on, man. You think that wasn't also a strategy to, invest in this in Western Europe so that they could be used as a bulwark against the Soviet Union? I mean, come on, man. Are you kidding me? Go ahead.
The difference between Wilson's 14 points on the Marshall Plan.
Oh, that's ironic. China only cares about money, power and money. That's hilarious. So does the U.S.
And NAFTA is that those things were done barrel of a gun. China is not shooting anybody in Africa. China is not putting bases there in Africa. Whenever they did put bases there, they were told to have them, and then those bases were actually converted to the native country, or not the native, but the country where they have. Okay, but it's not happening. The thing is the United States, though, we traditionally have always done it through force. I'm not trying to say this isn't me.
Yeah, our way is worse. Their way is better.
This isn't me bootlicking for China or saying that it's better. It's just if we're going to say that both of these things are bad, we have to look at how they are. And I would say significantly that what America does is way worse than any initiative that the EU and China is currently doing.
We're running down this for a while. Okay. First of all, the idea that China doesn't flex hard power is ridiculous. They have an enormous military, and their relationship, their posturing for 50 years has indicated that they have every intention of eventually being able to exert the kind of military influence that America does.
Okay, hold on. So he said 50 years. Okay, so let's go back 50 years. Let's go back to roughly what would that be? 1971? Okay. Well, that was still in the middle of the culture. As far as I know, I think 1966 to 1976, roughly, was the Cultural Revolution. Okay, so smack dab in the middle. Okay. That sounds like bullshit, but all right, go ahead.
Nowadays,
where's your evidence?
How
do you know they're doing that?
Yeah.
What do you mean? How do I know they're doing that?
How are they?
Their behavior in the South China Sea. What about their involvement?
Oh my goodness. Okay, so here's the bad faith once again. So Vaush says for the past 50 years. And then he says, well, look at their actions in the South China Sea. Well, the stuff that's been going on in the South China Sea is maybe happened for maybe 20 years, give or take. Maybe I'm being somewhat bad faith here, but it's like, bruh, are you really going to do? It's like that. This goes to show how much of an L this guy's taken. Taiwan. Go ahead. And that's his Twitch chat. But yeah.
In the Korean War. Taiwan. Like
what? This is literally whataboutism. Literally whataboutism that he's using. I remember hearing that the first time. I'm like, bro, are you using whataboutism? Oh, man. What? Okay. Largest standing army on Earth.
How's that posturing?
The thing is, again, I think that Uncle Ho mentioned this in the comment. I think Uncle Ho is in the chat. Here's the thing of the Korean War. This is just kind of a very shortened version. Incidents happen for the DPRK to invade the South. There were many anti-communist incidents that occurred and everything else. Okay. Landing in Incheon happens in 1950. I can't remember when offhand. I'm sorry. And they push back over the 38th parallel into the DPRK. And there was much, there were atrocities on all sides, of course. I mean, like I say, I know this is more of a centrist view, but it is what it is. Once the UN forces crossed the 30th parallel, DPRK says, hey, we need help. We need help. We're having some troubles here. So the People's Volunteer Army, not the PLA, not the People's Liberation Army, but the People's Volunteer Army is instituted. You had the general, I was just reading about, so I know, oh boy, cringe, but Peng Dehuai takes charge of these forces, who of course was later purged in a Cultural Revolution, but that's a whole other story. He leads this army, pushes back the U.S., 8,000 casualties, 6,000 of which were Korean. So that goes to show. And, you have the brave Marines holding out at the Chosin Reservoir and all this sort of thing. It's just ridiculous LARP. They get pushed over the 38th parallel. You have the truce. For the next 2 years, you're in a stalemate, basically. Basically, that's what it is. And then you have the armistice, and there we are. The Korean War never ended, as the media has said over and over. But yeah, go ahead.
That's just not posturing, though.
What
they did.
To exert power, like militarily, to use their
They support.
And as far as I know, the Chinese were not involved with the armistice at all. They were not involved with the recent talks. And once again, I shout out to Uncle Ho, who, I do remember last year, there were talks between South Korea and North Korea. China wasn't involved, as far as we know. The only thing China is concerned with, and people have said this over and over, is that they do not want the DPRK to fall because they would have millions of Korean refugees going into China. That's the whole thing that they're worried about. Does that make it? I sound like I'm having the debate over, but to me, that would be a concern. That would be like if the United States fell apart. Canada would be worried that there would be millions of American refugees that would end up going through their borders. They don't want that. Now, I know that's probably a lousy comparison, but nonetheless, go ahead. Mud Tibet. Oh boy, go ahead.
They supported the DPRK in the Korean War, but that wasn't posturing or exerting power. That was just allyship. We all does that.
Wait, hold on. How is using your military to get involved in neighboring conflicts to form a state to prevent their military bases on your border not a type of posturing?
Okay. What Chinese bases are in the DPRK? As far as I know, there aren't any. As far as I know, maybe I'll be corrected where I'm wrong, but the thing is, as far as I know, DPRK has a fair amount of autonomy, fairly. Like I say, they make their dealings and everything else. As far as I know, the DPRK is pretty much on their own, to be perfectly honest. I mean, they have secret, groups that get information and, that spy in Hong Kong and places like that to see what's going on in the rest of the world. So, yeah, it's very, very bad faith to me. But, yeah, go ahead.
The DPRK is
DPRK is absolutely a buffer state.
It is not a buffer state.
They are undeniable. Wait, hold on. The only reason China gives a single shit about the DPRK is because if they didn't, South Korea would become whole Korea, and then American military bases would be
factually incorrect. That is just historically factually incorrect with the history that has happened in Korea for the last 200 years. You are wrong. You do not know a fucking single thing about the history of Korea.
I'm absolutely correct on this one.
You are absolutely wrong. Wait, you do not know anything about Korea.
Why would China do that?
Why would China do what, Vaush?
Why would China stick its neck out during the Korean War to prevent...
Okay. Another thing as well is that, once the American forces primarily cross the Yalu River, the Chinese are worried about their border, as any reasonable country would. Is it, whoa, they're getting close to the border. And once again, no mention of Douglas MacArthur. That I used to be, this is a cringe point, but I used to be a fan of Douglas MacArthur, but I realized what a moron and what just a warmonger he was. He wanted to drop the A-bomb on the Chinese to keep, once the Chinese actually started attacking. So yeah, Truman did make the right choice to kick him out and to replace him with, I just thought of it earlier today and I've lost it. The former general of the 82nd Airborne. Oh, it's almost there. Callaway? No. Anyway, I can't think of it. But anyway, MacArthur was rightfully sacked, and of course he had his Cope speech of an old soldier who's just trying to do his duty. Shut up. He was a wuss. I mean, he was just a fancy peacock sort of guy, McAuliffe? No. Okay, I'm sorry. I thought I had it and then I lost it. Okay.
A total conquest. And then...
let me check it right quick. Sorry. It's going to bug the hell out of me. Okay. Douglas MacArthur. Oh, man. It's good. Like I said, I'm sorry. It bugs the hell out of me because I had it and then I lost it. That's the problem. Okay. Philippines. The U.S. Army. 84th Brigade. Okay. Of course, they're not going to say... no, I'm sorry. I did it again. Junior officer, World War I. The Army. Philippines, Medal of Honor, New Guinea, Luzon, occupation of Japan, war crimes trials, Allied powers. Okay, here we go. He ordered Lieutenant John R. Hodge. Okay, this is Korean War. Here we go. Chief Far East, Omar Bradley, Walton Walker. No. Let's see here. Douglas C. No. Yeah. April 1951, the Joint Chiefs of Staff drafted orders for MacArthur authorizing nuclear attacks on Manchuria and the Shantung Peninsula if the Chinese launched airstrikes originating from there against his forces. Doesn't make any sense because they wanted the Soviet pilots to be there. That's the whole thing of Mig Alley. So that's kind of, like I said, there's a lot of nuance there. Okay. Removal from command. Yeah. Within weeks of the Chinese attack, MacArthur was forced to retreat from North Korea. Well, yeah, because it's an idiot. Seoul fell in January 1951, and both Truman and MacArthur were forced to contemplate the prospect of abandoning Korea entirely. Oh, okay. So I feel like an idiot. You get to see that. Constitutional crisis. Okay. Yeah, okay. Okay, does it say who replaced him? I'm trying to think of who replaced him. It's gonna, like I said, let me check the chat right quick. Yeah, remove Berger, exactly. Yeah. He also refused to salute Truman. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Douglas MacArthur was not a great guy. I'm just going to say that offhand. He was a jagoff. Let's see here. Oh, it's going to bug the hell out of me. Okay. The Republican leader allowed the floor. A letter from MacArthur. I don't care. Yeah, that's just okay. Okay, Dean Acheson. Okay. Let's see here. Okay. Oh, man. Oh, it's going to bug me. Okay. UN offensive 1951. Okay, let's see here. Okay, will it do this? I'm sorry. I know I'm wasting some time on this, but let's see here. Ridgway. Ah, that's his name. Matthew Ridgway. Ridgway was the one that replaced. Yeah. Yeah. Supreme Allied Commander Europe 52 to 53. Matthew Ridgway was the one. Okay, Korean War. Yeah, Ridgway's most important command occurred after 1950 after the death of Lieutenant Walton Walker. China's casualties. When General MacArthur was relieved of command, Ridgway was promoted to a full general, meaning 4 stars in this case, assuming command of all United Nations forces in Korea. So, yeah, Matthew Ridgway, excuse me. Okay. Whew, I'm sorry. It just bugs the hell out of me when I can't remember. But thank you, chat, for sticking around. I appreciate that. It's lagging. Oh, boy. Yeah, I think the lagging is on Mel's end of the Vaush call. Yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah, it's very telling that Vaush thinks that if a country does something, it must be for some cynical self-interest, just like America does. Shows how America-centric his view is. Yeah, exactly. Oh, no, they're building islands. How evil. Exactly, yeah. He refused to salute Truman. Yeah. Okay, let's go ahead and hit this, though. All right.
Occupy it or support it militarily, putting their soldiers' lives on the line.
God, every take Vaush has is awful. It really is. Yeah, it really is. And no porn. Get rid of that. Okay. Okay. Oh, get rid of the porn here too. Goodbye. Okay.
And then in the geopolitical conflict that
because
takes place during that
because the Soviet Union was never going to help the Koreans. And
okay. This is not necessarily true off of Mel's side. Mig Alley. The idea is that they would be allegedly Korean pilots. They were actually, Soviet pilots who were flying the new MiG-15s to take down the F-86 Sabres and the Starfighter. This is why the F-86 Sabre became, this is why it was so evenly matched. If you look at the Sabre and the MiG-15, they looked pretty damn similar. Now, of course, the difference is that the MiG had a 30 millimeter cannon versus the F-86 Sabre, which I believe just had 650 caliber, I think. I can't think of it. You know what? I'm not going to look that up. Go ahead.
China and Korea.
China doesn't give a fuck about Korea. China
yes, they do.
No, they no.
Do you
wait,
know that? Do you know the historical ties between China and Korea?
That's not how nation states work.
Yes, it is. It is how nation states work. Like I say, you think that there's a reason that Russia and, for example, Serbia have a lot of connections because they have a basic Slavic culture. That's the whole thing. It's a connection between it. It's the same thing that I don't know. That, for example, I'm trying to think of some other connections. I'm sorry, my brain is just blanking. But the connection with, say, between God damn it, I'm sorry, I'm blanking on this. But yeah, there are plenty of cultural connections that go back in time. Such as between, let's say, England and France to a point. Obviously the English and French hate each other, but they've both come to their aid in certain ways. So, of course, there is that back and forth that goes on, Or, for example, the antagonisms between Russia and Poland. Yeah, that goes back centuries. Or between Russia and Finland. These go back and forth. This is very simple sorts of things, So this is very reductive, to say the least. Go ahead.
Wait, are you seriously arguing that they supported North Korea and allowed that
Madagascar and Indonesia
shithole of a dead monarchist state to continue to exist because they care?
They actually but they do care in a way. It's not all geopolitics. Some
This
of it
no,
is
it's
some of it is
all
history.
geopolitics. Wait, hold on.
No,
so
some of it is
Marxism
some of it is
until it involves China, and then we're getting sentimental. No, the reason why China maintains the existence of North Korea, the only reason, by the way, that North Korea has
that's just factually incorrect.
If I'm thinking right, the relationship between China and North Korea was described as closer than lips and teeth, I believe. Let me make sure here. I want to double check on that. I don't normally do all this relationship with. I think that's it. Yeah, close as lips and teeth. Yeah, I knew I've heard this before. Yeah, Beijing and Pyongyang relationship, long called as close as lips and teeth. But Vaush just doesn't, like I say, he would rather listen to Pew Research studies about, Vietnam instead. I mean, go ahead.
Do you know anything
it
about
hasn't imploded is because it's a de facto vassal of China, and
it's not
de facto vassal of China. Mm-hmm. That's why they promote Juche, and they promote things like Songun, which is self-reliance, and they still maintain Korean culture in a lot of ways. They still have traditional Korean dress and everything. Still eat kimchi, this and that. But no. They're a vassal state of China. Shama? I'm gonna say, Ni Shorshima? Ni Shorshima? What are you saying? That's what I'm saying in Mandarin, but it's like Ni Shorshima? Yeah. Husho. That's nonsense. Go ahead.
Vassal of China.
Because that's
just actually correct. You're basically saying that the Koreans have no self-identity at all, which they do in the North and the South.
North Koreans politically have nothing. You are correct in that.
What?
Absolutely.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that. That's not what I implied.
Wait, then we agree. They have nothing.
No, we don't. No evidence to substantiate.
There's plenty to hate on both sides of this, but I think Vaush deserves the lion's share.
That China and Korea China and the deep just are politically aligned. That's not true. It's not just politics.
Do things for other countries.
Do you not realize that they're not just countries, but people that supported each other
This is hilarious. Okay, this is very bad faith. When she says Korean people, and Vaush just says, well, I'm not a fascist. I don't see them as people. Once again, this is sort of the capitalist sort of mindset where people do not have a history. They are consumers. This is very reductionist. This is where, a fascist and a full-on, ML would have some common ground where they understand that people and histories do exist, where people like Vaush just do not understand that. This is like I said, Vaush really doesn't understand history. He really doesn't understand the struggles. For example, the struggle between, Armenia and, if you asked him the difference between, what do you think about the difference, the war in Nagorno-Karabakh? What would he say to that? He wouldn't have a clue. Or the Yugoslav wars going back centuries. He wouldn't have a fucking clue.
Occupation, they both fought the Japanese fascists.
Make policies. Countries do. People vote, except in China and North Korea, by the way, where you have a failing remnant of a democracy and none. People aren't what we care about here.
No, you don't.
I saw you, by the way. You were, after the shooting in those spas, you were like, I wonder why AOC is spouting...
Okay, this is kind of ridiculous. I should cut this down a little bit, but this is talking about some bullshit tweet. I don't care about it. I'm just going to cut to the end where he just says red fash. This is, okay, I don't care about some bullshit tweet. Who gives a crap? Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and cut there.
Of her?
It's such a silly question.
Do you think it's
what
hypocritical
does this mean?
of her?
What does anyone get out of this? Me answering
this? Is what I mean. Chat, people in Twitch chat who are saying I was being mean to her, this is the person we're talking about. Anytime we have a decent conversation on geopolitics, it's in spite of, not because of her. Okay? She acts like a fucking groiper, except she wears a red flag.
Wow. So, hold on. Okay. Sorry, I do have to go back for this. This
I
is
said it seems kind of, but
there we go.
it's geopolitics, but it
Oh
is
yeah, here
also
it is. Sorry,
also
wait. We can put an end to
that are
this. Sorry. So Ilhan Omar said that she was devastated by the murder of 8 people in Atlanta, including 6 Asian American women. And then you posted her retweeting an anti-Uyghur Muslim genocide thing. No human rights, no Olympic Games in China. So essentially you said, because Ilhan Omar doesn't support China's genocide of the Uyghur Muslims, she has no right to mourn the death of 6 Asian American
That's
women.
not what I said.
This is more reprehensible than I actually remember it being. This is fucking disgusting.
No, what you're doing is disgusting, Vaush, because the thing is that people get manipulated a lot by the situation with the Uyghur Muslims. Probably, I'm going to give a hot take here, but I don't think that a lot of people would give a crap about what was going on with the Uyghur Muslims, especially when you look at it on a whole scale. I think that there are at least 9 different Muslim minorities that exist in China, or maybe 10. I cannot remember what it is, but you can talk about the Wei Muslims, for example, who are legitimately Han Chinese at this point. Nothing is happening to them. Does Vaush mention that? Do a lot of folks that talk about the Uyghur genocide, do they mention the Wei Muslims and what is going on with them? And for the fact that the Uyghurs were attacking the Wei Muslims as well. This isn't talked about. And also, I'm not going to listen to a hypocrite like Vaush who calls himself an anti-theist and says that Christianity is destroying the world. And will say, all this stuff about Islam, this and that. And then we'll go back and say, oh, well, it's awful that that's going on. But then we'll probably claim to say, well, it's about people. I don't care about their religion, this and that.
Not what I said at all. Do you want to read Radio Free Amanda's
videos
she did the
on
same
Chinese
thing?
DPRK
We can read
elections
her
towards voting
idea
system.
too.
So wait, hold on. Well, then why this tweet?
Why
this?
Let me think here, comrade dude. Let's see here. Any videos on Chinese or DPRK elections? I cannot think of one offhand. Let me see here. Comrade dude, do you have let me see, several Muslim Chinese in China, and yet it's only the Uyghurs getting coverage? Exactly, yeah. To be honest, comrade dude, I cannot think of one offhand. I apologize. I can't think of one off the top of my head though, in terms of a video. But yeah, you could maybe check out Bay Area 415 or people of that ilk. But yeah, that's my opinion. Sorry about that though.
This tweet.
Oh, because I wanted to I took Radio Free Amanda's idea because that would be funny.
Okay, so what's the message being espoused here? What's the message?
I don't know. Do you want to scroll down and read the other person that said it too? Because apparently I'm too dumb and
you
don't
literally
wanna know.
read a post the other day comparing the Chinese government to Nazi Germany. And I know you have a problem with comparisons. Do you want me to explain the comparison to you?
No, I just wanted to know why you think both of our comparisons are bad, because we essentially said the same thing.
Wait.
Don't let Beijing.
Wait, hold on. I don't think you understand.
Don't let Beijing in 2022 become Berlin 1933. The difference is that there are so many differences that can be named here. And I'm going to get very cringe here, so I'm just bear with me. Okay. So Uyghur Muslims would probably be like maybe a 16th of the overall population of China versus the Jewish population of Germany was probably pretty damn large. We're talking millions. And this is, like I say, we're probably like 1/16. With Germany, you're talking about like maybe a quarter or maybe even a third of the population. Maybe I'm being somewhat disingenuous here, but the thing is, though, is that another aspect is that, relatively speaking, the Jewish population was fairly well integrated into German society. The problem with the Uyghurs is they are not part of Chinese society as a whole. At least that they weren't. So they believe a more radical form of Islam, much more Salafistic in nature. And they have been, so what is the result of this? Well, the thing is that they have wanted to integrate their population into the larger Chinese society. People never say, I'm surprised. This is like the extreme sort of like, Well, actually, the Irish shouldn't have. They actually shouldn't have integrated into U.S. society or American society at that point. It's the same thing with the Uyghurs. They had to be integrated into Chinese society, and more specifically, into Han culture. And I know, I'm sounding very cringe, but nonetheless, that's what serves the point. Integration and becoming part of the system is just something that naturally happens. Sorry.
With the assertion you just made that this meme is reprehensible.
And the other poster essentially said the same thing. And if you're this upset about a meme, then I think you need to go outside.
So wait, do you think Ilhan Omar has a right to mourn 6 Asian American women?
Why?
Do you think it's hypocritical for her to do so?
You asked. This is a silly question, by the way.
Dude, again, it's like I'm talking to a groiper. Wait, do you think?
Wow. So hold on. How many groipers has he talked to? Number one, groiper is a thing that goes back. You know what? I'm not even gonna explain that history. That's cringe and very spurky. But who gives a shit about that? Why? Go ahead.
I think it's hypocritical of her.
This is such a silly question. Like,
do you think it's hypocritical?
Of her? What does anyone get out of this? Me answering
this is what I mean. People in Twitch chat who are saying I was being mean to her. This is the person we're talking about. Anytime we have a decent conversation on geopolitics,
no, it's mean. What she is saying is that it's a meme to call her a groiper. That's the whole thing. So as far as I know, that's what she's saying. God, I can't believe I'm okay. You know what? I've fallen into the trap. Let's do it.
It's in spite of, not because of her. Okay, she acts like a fucking groiper,
except she wears
Empire.
A red flag. Oh, that's true. You're right.
This is why I say the tankies are
fascism, Jimmy Dorism. Exactly.
You're Pepe posting at this point.
What's going on? Red fascist is not a word.
I bet you don't think.
Let me take a look. Yeah, it's integrated into the Mongol Empire. Vaush, if the state outlaws CB, it's fascism. Exactly. Oh my goodness. Yeah, this is. Oh boy, it is okay.
It exists, yeah. Well, you get to be red fash or fash, Mel, because you're sure as fuck not a socialist.
Red fash or fash. I love it. Red fascism, Islamofascism, Christofascism. Well, they can't just simply call it fascism. We have to delineate it from the other types because it's so much better that way, isn't it? I mean, like I said, I cringe every time I see some wannabe left-wing type of person who says Christo-fascism, and then you see the neocons. Like I said, people don't use Islamofascism as much anymore, but these are just such bad faith terms. It's the same thing as tanky. It's like, oh, wow. Go ahead.
Which one is? Oh, I'm not a socialist.
Ilhan Omar, is it hypocritical of her to mourn the death of the 6 Asian American women?
Why does this is not relevant to anything that we've been talking about. You're just trying to box me.
It seems like you're saying that because she doesn't like genocide, she doesn't get that.
No. Okay, sorry. I forgot about this. Okay.
And they use...
Okay. So the reason that Ilhan Omar is doing that is to show that she is still Muslim. That's the whole issue. This is why Turkey talks about it. This is why other countries talk about it. Is because they are Muslims. That's why they are making an issue about it. They are using it, like I say, they are using this to say that they are that Erdogan and other folks use it as a way to say we are Islamic, inshallah. And what, an injustice to any Muslim person, it's an injustice to all Muslims, that sort of thing. Maybe I'm being very disingenuous when I say that and very cringe, but that's the idea of it. It's virtue signaling on Ilhan Omar's part to say that she cares about what happens to Muslims in Xinjiang province. That's the whole idea. But you know what? I'm making myself sound stupid. Go ahead.
Those troops to fight against our proxy troops
using Islamo-Marxism
to hold the
DNC.
Yeah. Well, do you know how far they pushed it into the south, right?
They got pretty far, didn't they?
Narco-fascist.
They got all the way. They got all the way to Busan. That's what they call the perimeter.
Yeah, and then we dabbed on them.
No.
Well, it was the invasion at Incheon, and it was a lot more. It was.
It's very. I know it's very complicated. The actual story of the Korean.
Yeah, it's very complicated, and then he makes himself look like a jag. Go ahead, I can't.
But eventually, we did dab on them.
No.
Well, we didn't actually. It was a bloody fucking stalemate. We didn't dab on anybody. Like, it was a slugfest.
You got pushed back so much further that by 1951, we had pretty much, where pretty much the whole of the Korean continent, or excuse me, the Korean peninsula was going to be under the control of the DPRK. But then it was reversed because the United States stepped in. And then it was reversed again by the time of 1951. And then by 1952, roughly speaking, or 1953, there was a stalemate. There's a stalemate because, there were talks, like I was reading before, there were talks that we were going to have to leave, that the United States was going to have to leave the Korean Peninsula because we were BTFO'd that bad.
We pushed them, I believe, 40-something miles north of the 38th parallel, and the United States was not winning.
No.
But the North wasn't winning either, because actually after the United States pushed into the war, pulled their troops back.
Isn't it funny? Dabs on China. Oh boy. You can, dabbing is illegal in 2021. But yeah, go ahead. So far I agree with Mel, but yeah.
And the reason why China pulled their troops back is because the United States had a plan that there was in the works, that there was a possibility that they were going to nuke Manchuria or nuke like the border between like China and the DPRK, like even after the retreat, to solidify China never entering the conflict again.
I'm glad nobody dropped nukes.
And cutting off.
Oh, don't you gotta love that? You gotta love that fake concern. I'm glad they didn't drop nukes. You don't give a shit, Vaush.
North Korea. That was the original plan, and the war ended up going to an armistice because the amount of civilian deaths that were done on the DPRK were like massive, right? Like,
true.
America dropped like more bombs than the entire than World War II in its entirety just on the DPRK.
Yep.
Anti-communist hit squads brought out like Korean civilians that were taking food from North Korean soldiers or Chinese soldiers or even or just even like regular Koreans.
Yep.
And they were executed for just taking food. Like, it was a really brutal conflict where lots of people on both sides of the peninsula died.
And now that suffering gets to be lived out every single day of the lives of every single citizen of North Korea.
Such bad faith. Talking about I understand why people hate America. I do. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I understand why. Because of idiots like this. This is a guy who claims to be a libertarian socialist. And who's going to say ignorant shit like that and says, well, now now citizens of North Korea can starve every day. I can't. I'm going to let you, the chat, think that over, because this is... These are like I say, the most worrying thing is not Vaush himself. The most worrying thing is not himself. It is the tens of thousands of people that are going to be influenced by Vaush, and who think that somehow he really is a socialist, and that actually, talking, using chauvinist language about the DPRK is actually okay, and that we should be able to say shit like that. If you said that, even in South Korea, and you had that argument, I mean, Vaush wouldn't dare because he's not that stupid, but they would smack him up.
It's not, suffering still happens in the South, like that created families. It changed the cultural landscape of both countries. You can't just talk about
the North and the South are comparable.
Yeah. Nope.
It's not, I'm not saying they're not comparable. I'm saying that you're missing that point.
He's just fronting. Yeah.
Families were separated. Like, generational trauma happened.
Get to live as
there's
Caleb
resentment by like the North Korean.
And then there's neocons and evangelical heretics who say Islamofascism, aka Iran. They never mean Saudi Arabia. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Who is he talking to? Yeah. He's talking to this person named Mel, who is a transgender girl who apparently he was arguing with on Twitter, and they had some sort of conversation over Discord before. It's just, it's pretty bad. But yeah, that's all I know about it. But yeah, he just uploaded the video going over this debate, the whole thing, and he basically says the end is basically his chat was getting mad at him because he said that he was too rough with her, this and that, and basically what he says is that she's an abuser, and that she was doing this to use the chat. So awful, very, very cringe.
Koreans don't necessarily hate the South Korean people. Their issue is with the government and the support of the United States.
Both groups feel that way. The South Korean people
the South Koreans don't necessarily hate the North Korean citizens. They have issues with the government in North Korea. It's sort of both of the same side.
Yeah,
both groups
the problem
of people
with the government's
don't necessarily hate each other, because for all intents and purposes, North and South Koreans are just Koreans. I never
said
so if you ever,
I never said they hated.
But you implicitly imply that when you say these people are just their own separate. They're very.
Here we go with the whole. I don't see things as people. Once again, that people don't have a history, they don't have a language or anything else. I guess. Go ahead. I'll let him speak for himself.
The line is a travesty. All of Korea, there should be one Korea controlled by the South Korean government.
All of Korea is controlled by the South Korean government. Why would that be bad? Go ahead.
There should be one Korea controlled by whatever government the people want. I don't
considering
care.
South Korea's population is significantly larger than North, so I think any democratic
does not matter because they are the same people. You need to stop separating North and South Korea.
Wait, sorry. Just to be really clear, okay?
Go ahead.
I'm not a fascist. I don't believe in this mythological people, the people you keep referring to, okay? I don't know why you're trying to LARP.
Like I say, if he ever said this to any, even if he was in in a Korean, if he talked to a Korean family about this, they would, I imagine that their blood would be boiling after him hearing this. I mean, after anyone that is of Korean descent hearing this, they would be furious, rightfully so. Whether that be under the Japanese boot, whether it was the revolutions that went back and forth in Korea, and I'm not going to get into it, but very, very disingenuous.
Like the great dictator shit here, okay? We're talking about
Commander Brute
states and state actions. If you're saying all of Korea should be made one nation and then all the people there should vote on their government system, that's great, that's cool. But I don't know why you keep talking about
the people. In the South.
You talked about with China too, their border disputes with India. Yeah. Those aren't geopolitical in nature. That's the people and their long-standing generational trauma. These aren't how countries work. And if geopolitics
is how countries work, that is actually how countries work.
Countries do what's in their best interest. They're a conglomerate of 1 billion businesses.
You cannot.
Countries, oh my goodness. Okay. As much as he talks about how capitalism is bad, apparently countries are in it for their own self-interest and for their own countries are also made up of cultures. They've been forged through time and through wars and through blood, sweat, and tears. This is such a cringe idea. I guess apparently, this is something that I guess apparently in Vaush's eyes, I'm going to sound very Wienadish, but just bear with me. Apparently Germany only existed from 1871 until present day. There were never any, there were never any Goths. There were never any, tribes or anything else like that. That never happened. The Roman Empire, didn't, it's just like saying, well, Italy's going to act in its own self-interest, They never had separations. They never had wars or anything else. Same thing with the UK or whichever nation you choose, including China. Oh, yeah. Well, China is all just one thing. They do things in their own self-interest. They never had, separatist movements. They never had, the Kuomintang and all this other stuff, or the countless numbers of dynasties that they had, including, like the Yuan dynasty or whatever. That never happened, apparently. This is... I can't. Go ahead. I'm getting a headache just from this. I'm glad there's only 2 videos left. Okay.
Not take that out of the equation, Vaush. When you minus the actual things that groups of ethnic groups go through, it's
Capitalism
like
and
the
real
law
science.
order.
Minusing what the ethnic groups go for. What they do is geopolitical.
What they do is geopolitical.
Right.
I don't think you don't. I mean, it's the same thing with Luna. I don't know anything about Vietnam either.
Luna's video on me was embarrassing. She spent 2 minutes misinterpreting an argument that she had vaguely seen on Twitter, and 18 of them talking about a person like me.
Again, when people that are from the world try to talk about
nice liberal identity politics, when women of color speak out, you should listen. Damn, you should be running your own racial sensitivity meetings at businesses.
How is that liberal?
Do you know what liberal idpol is?
I do.
You're like, what's D'Angelo? What's the name of that lady? You're like, you should be running those white fragility classes, When you hear a voice of a woman of color, you should speak out. Nah, I prefer to let the arguments do the talking, personally.
I don't necessarily.
What arguments have you given? You've just given BS. Absolute BS.
They just need to listen to everything, people of color.
Why don't I just assess the arguments? Why do I have to make it a race thing?
That's not what. It's not a race thing. It's that when people actually from that part of the world, and they have experience or they understand the intricacies of their own people and their own groups.
Lunoi was wrong. She talked in her video and said incorrect statements about Vietnam. I googled, she made strong claims about the interests of their people, and it turns out it's wrong.
Lives there. She lives there, and she was wrong. And she lives there.
Do you think you should take anecdotes from one YouTuber over Pew Research data to form opinion?
Okay, here we go. So I can't. Go ahead. I'm going to let it speak for itself. Oh my goodness, I can't.
Opinions on a country. Did I just hear that correctly?
You're more willing to take
Pew Research data.
No. You're more willing to take a Western anecdotal study over someone who actually lived in Vietnam.
Bro, Pew Research is totally Western. You should just listen to this YouTuber. Yeah, no shit, because I'm not...
That's the most ironic thing ever. You should... yeah. Does he, that's the whole thing. He'll... This is something I've noticed recently. Is that he will bully his chat by saying, chat, you should know this. You should know these rhetorical terms that I use and all this. You should find out what they're doing. And he trains them. Dare I say, he grooms his audience to believe these things. Does he ever give sources about where he got this Pew Research from? What he's going to talk about here? He doesn't. But, apparently he read it. So, it's the same thing when he talks about, I read Lenin or I read this and that. No, people gave you quotes that sounded good enough and you listened to what other people said. I really don't think you read it. But go ahead.
Anti-intellectual.
So you think it's intellectual to not listen to someone that's
to ignore
the country
data because one person said otherwise? Hey, wait. Can I ask you?
Sure. Go ahead.
I said that Vietnamese people don't like the market reforms that their country has been undergoing since the 1990s, but the data says that 4% of the Vietnamese people support market reforms and want more of them.
Okay. So here's the issue here. Number one, where would the sample size be? Where did they go to get this information? Did they go to rich capitalists to get that information, to fill out their surveys or whatever it is, to say if they approve or not? If they used a Likert, what sort of standard did they use? Did they use a Likert scale? Did they use this? Did they use that? Whichever. Like I say, I've taken at least market research, so I have a vague understanding. There are so many aspects that people would ask to say, okay, well, how did Pew Research, how did the Pew Research Center get this information? How did they come to their conclusion? He doesn't, like I say, but that's just me. Go ahead.
That's a greater majority than that's a great hold on. That's a greater majority than any other country that was listed on that study by an exponential factor. So
they have no choice.
So wait, so you're saying Luna Oil was wrong? They do want it, but they have no choice but to want
Research etiquette included
They
capitalist
have no
backing
choice because the
institute.
only way for
exactly.
them to compete in the market is to open that market. But it doesn't
So
necessarily mean
they want those reforms so they can compete.
how they're being.
It's amazing to me how this guy is supposed to be against capitalism, and he's like, well, actually, them opening up to capitalism is actually a good thing. Go ahead.
Held at the standard of the Western market, so they have to do it to compete, or else they'll
Interesting.
starve.
Do you hold this criticism for the reforms that have been pushed in Africa due to the initiative?
Yeah, that was just a shit
Infrared
show.
came on for.
So this is the last bit. This is where he spent about 30 to 45 minutes at the end of the stream saying how that Mel person that he was debating through this whole thing is that person was being an abuser and was simply manipulating the chat. And apparently he's going to record a whole video about it this next time. So yeah, oh man. But he's going to explain. This is rhetoric 101 or whatever it is, or 102.
For 4 minutes. So stupid. I didn't know if he was a troll. The last time I'm talking.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Infrared came on for 4 minutes and was so stupid. I didn't know if he was a troll, and that's the last time I'm talking to him. The fans can complain all he wants, but when people, so guys, you know about responsible platforming, all right? There's like one type of person I don't bring on, and it's people who make their audiences off of my exposure, and their audiences don't care whether or not they're right or wrong. Infrared is so stupid that he could say or do anything. He could scoop shit out of his own asshole and eat it on live cam, and his audience would not be affected by it, because those are the type of people who follow him. It's like a performance art thing.
Oh man, sorry. Okay, I'll turn that off. Oh boy, huh? Oh, yeah, I hated Starkey comebacks. Yeah, he's such a. This is why I think the smarter people have realized there's no point in debating people like Vaush. There's no point in debating him because he is such a bad faith actor. This is. I hope that one day people will realize that he is just a grifter. He is no different than any of these other guys out there. He's going to continue to promote these ideas and say, well, actually, the tankies are the same thing as the Vaush and everything else. This is, yeah. Vaush at this point is not much more than a contemporary neoliberal. He really isn't. He really is not. I'm going to go over his video tomorrow, or his stream that he had today with a libertarian, this Larry Thorne guy or something. Oh my goodness, it was bad. But just in case y'all want to watch these on your own, just want to watch these on their own, I'll go ahead and put the. Oops, sorry, I'm a boomer. There we go. So that. Okay, that is the what the hell is it called? The stream, or the list that I made for all those videos. That's the Vaush clips from yesterday. Yeah, if you want to watch those, you can. But I think that's all I really have to say. I think that that was such bad faith, and it just goes to show how bad he has gotten. I mean, is there anything else to say about him? He's just continuing to get worse and worse. And he has really swallowed up a lot of the discourse online. And it's unfortunate. It is. I think that there were interesting conversations and there were interesting moments to be had, I think. But I think that people like Vaush have swallowed up the discourse to a point that it's just become a circle jerk. I think it's also just become just such a bad faith scenario and a situation, But yeah, I think that's all I really have to say. Yeah, fuck Vaush and Glass. No, exactly. But yeah, I think that's all I really have to say. There is one clip, though, I know I'm going to get from that libertarian video, and I already put it down. The guy that he's debating, this old boomer libertarian, he said, yeah, there's nothing to gain from this. No, there really isn't. Yeah, he's doubling down on his worst aspects, and he's started out bad to begin with. He really is, yeah. He's starting to sell shirts. You know, I mean, like I said, I mean, it's a typical YouTube type thing. But now he's selling his shirts. Or, you know, he'll say, oh, you like the shirt that I'm wearing? Well, you can buy it at this website right here, and I'll get it, you know, or whatever. You know, he has already said that he makes $500,000 a year. He's not going to do the packs, partly because of what happened with Destiny, but nonetheless, it just goes to show that this is not, you know, this is a guy who wields a lot of influence, but is going to destroy discourse for a long, long time. There are going to be people who are going, there's going to be Vaush Juniors out there, you know, possibly worldwide, but at least definitely in the United States. And it's going to be so cringe. I think that's all I really have to say about it. It's just going to be so awful to see these mini Vaushes who think that they can argue the same way that he does. And it's just, that's going to be the worst thing. It goes to show that maybe it's very depressing, isn't it? It's very depressing. And I could go on and on and really feed into it, but I'm not going to. You know, the sun is starting to come out during the day. It's getting warmer outside. That's all I can really say, yeah. Wabba dabba kappa. Yeah, exactly. But that's all I really have to say. That's all I really have to say. So, yeah, I think we'll go ahead and end it here. But I appreciate everybody that's come into the chat. Is there anybody that doesn't have a wrench? Let me, let me double check here. So, apologies. I'm going to go ahead and mute here. Let me go ahead and double check here. Make sure everybody's got a wrench, because I would like to make sure that everything is as equal as it possibly can be. Let me see here. Let me double check. Oh, sorry. I should check channel. Let me check here. Anybody that doesn't have a wrench, I'll be polite here. Army of Vaush wannabes, yeah. Xander Hall is bad enough, yeah. That's true. Let me go ahead and check here. So I think this should be muted. And it is. Okay, so let me double check here. Make sure everybody lottie-dottie's got a wrench, because I'm a polite guy. Winky Dinks, you need a wrench, so I'll go ahead and give you a wrench. There you go. Let me make sure here. Who else? Comrade Dude has one. Oh, Long Dong, my man, he doesn't have, or that person doesn't have one. So there we go. I think, oh, I gave you one. Long Dong, man. I ain't no Janny. Oh, okay. No, it's okay. But that just gives you, the ability to post whatever you want for the most part, other links and whatnot. So yeah, we'll go ahead and do that. I think that's all we have. American Dissident's got one. Yeah, I think that's everybody. Okay. So I'll go ahead and leave it there. I'm a loyal homie too. Okay. Yeah, I got you. Outskirts of LA. Gotcha. There we go. So now he's got the wrench. All right. Yeah. No. Jenny. Nah, it's okay. It's all right. It's not, like I say, it's much more like, everybody has the loyalty to do that, But yeah, I think that's all I really have to say. So I hope y'all enjoyed that. Just in case, so I will be putting the link in a pinned comment. So if y'all want to watch those videos and say, or use it for your own purposes, make memes, you can go ahead and do that. But have a good night, everybody. So let's go ahead and end it right there. Yep. Good night, everybody. Solidarity. Amen to that. All right. Let's go ahead and end it here and see you later. And bye-bye.